There are very few names in Hollywood that carry the same weight as Sharon Stone. For more than 4 decades, she has embodied glamour, intelligence, controversy, and reinvention. She has been the seductive femme fatale, the fearless survivor, the outspoken activist, and the woman who could silence an entire room with nothing more than a glance. And now, at 67 years old, Sharon Stone is once again commanding global attention, not for a new movie role, not for a scandal, but for something more powerful: her ability to redefine what aging looks like. When photographs of Stone surfaced recently, glowing, confident, and stunning at 67, the internet exploded. Admirers praised her radiance, fashion critics analyzed her elegance, and millions of fans marveled at her ability to look not just youthful, but timeless. It wasn't simply a matter of beauty. It was the aura. Sharon Stone at 67 represents a victory over time, over expectations, and over a Hollywood system that has historically discarded women once they reach a certain age. To many, her new look is not just stunning, it's revolutionary. But how did Sharon Stone get here? To understand why her latest appearance has set social media ablaze, you must understand the journey behind it. The journey of a woman who rose from small-town obscurity to international superstardom, who survived some of the darkest moments imaginable, and who, against all odds, continues to rise. From small-town Pennsylvania to Hollywood, Sharon Stone's beginnings were far from glamorous. She was born in Meadville, Pennsylvania in 1958, the second of 4 children in a working-class family. Her father was a tool and die manufacturer, and her mother was a homemaker. Life in Meadville was modest, and for many girls growing up there, the path forward was predictable: school, marriage, family. But Sharon was different. From a young age, she stood out, fiercely intelligent, ambitious, and with an undeniable spark that hinted at something greater. She entered beauty pageants as a teenager and won titles, which gave her an early taste of the spotlight. Her striking looks made her a natural in front of the camera, but it was her determination that set her apart. After high school, Stone attended Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, where she studied creative writing and fine arts. Yet the pull of a larger world was too strong. By the late 1970s, she had left Meadville for New York City, chasing a career in modeling. Within months, she was signed by the prestigious Ford modeling agency. From magazine covers to television commercials, Sharon Stone's face became familiar. But modeling was never her true dream. She wanted to act, and New York soon gave way to Los Angeles, where Hollywood awaited. The long road to stardom. Sharon Stone's rise in Hollywood was not immediate. Her early career was filled with small roles that barely hinted at the star she would become. She appeared as an extra in Woody Allen's Stardust Memories, 1980, then landed supporting roles in films like Irreconcilable Differences, 1984, and King Solomon's Mines, 1985. The industry recognized her beauty, but didn't quite know what to do with her. For nearly a decade, Stone hovered on the edges of fame, noticed but not celebrated, employed but not embraced. That changed in 1990 when she was cast opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. As Laurie, the duplicitous wife in Paul Verhoeven's sci-fi thriller, Stone showed a mix of physicality, charisma, and menace that audiences couldn't forget. Suddenly, Hollywood realized that Sharon Stone wasn't just another pretty face. She was a presence. But Total Recall was only the beginning. The role that changed everything. In 1992, Sharon Stone starred in Basic Instinct. It wasn't just a movie role, it was a cultural earthquake. As Catherine Trammell, the brilliant and dangerously seductive crime novelist, Stone delivered one of the most iconic performances in film history. The film was controversial from the start. Its explicit content and provocative themes drew criticism, debate, and censorship attempts. But at the center of it all was Stone, who gave a performance so fearless, so magnetic, that the controversy only elevated her stardom. The interrogation scene in which Trammell uncrosses her legs in front of a room full of police officers became one of the most infamous moments in cinema. Overnight, Sharon Stone went from a working actress to one of the most famous women in the world. She was hailed as the ultimate femme fatale, a title she wore with both pride and discomfort. For Stone, Basic Instinct was both a blessing and a curse. It gave her fame, fortune, and international recognition. But it also pigeonholed her. Hollywood, always eager to reduce complex women into simple archetypes, tried to cast her again and again as the seductress. Stone resisted, seeking roles that showcased her depth, intelligence, and emotional range. Critical respect. While Basic Instinct made Sharon Stone a star, her performance in Casino, 1995, made her a serious actress. Directed by Martin Scorsese and co-starring Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, Casino gave Stone the role of Ginger McKenna, a woman torn between love, greed, and self-destruction. Her portrayal was raw, vulnerable, and unforgettable. Critics raved, and Stone received the Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. She won the Golden Globe. In that moment, she proved she was not just a sex symbol, but one of the most talented actresses of her generation. For many, Casino remains her finest performance. A role that demanded not just glamour, but pain, resilience, and humanity. It showed the world that Sharon Stone was not afraid to dig deep, to expose her flaws, and to bleed on screen. The dark years. Yet Hollywood fame is rarely a straight line. After Casino, Stone's career faced turbulence. Some films failed to connect with audiences, and the industry's fascination with her as the femme fatale began to fade. At the same time, her personal life was marked by heartbreak and trauma. In 2001, Stone suffered a near-fatal brain hemorrhage. For days, she hovered between life and death. Doctors gave her slim chances of survival. Even after she pulled through, recovery was grueling. She had to learn to walk and speak again. Roles dried up, friends disappeared. Hollywood, always obsessed with youth and vitality, seemed ready to move on. Stone later described this period as the most difficult of her life. She lost custody of her son, endured financial struggles, and faced the terrifying reality of rebuilding her body and mind. The woman who had once captivated the world with her icy confidence now faced mortality in the harshest way possible. But Sharon Stone is nothing if not resilient. Slowly, she recovered. Slowly, she worked her way back into the public eye. And slowly, she began to rebuild not only her career, but also her sense of self. Reinvention. By the 2010s, Sharon Stone was no longer chasing the roles Hollywood once tried to give her. Instead, she reinvented herself. She took on television projects, appeared in independent films, and embraced advocacy work. She became an outspoken voice for women's rights, HIV/AIDS research, and humanitarian causes. Her speeches were fiery, unapologetic, and deeply personal. She called out sexism in Hollywood long before it became a mainstream conversation. She spoke openly about her health struggles, refusing to hide her scars. This reinvention wasn't about recapturing the old image of Catherine Trammell. It was about becoming something new. A survivor, an activist, and a woman who refused to be silenced. And yet, even as she embraced activism and personal growth, the world never stopped paying attention to her beauty. Photos of Sharon Stone at 60, 65, and now 67 consistently spark conversation. Each time, the narrative is the same. How does she do it? The stunning new look at 67, which brings us to now. At 67, Sharon Stone has once again broken the internet. Recent photos show her looking radiant, confident, and elegant in a way that defies conventional expectations of age. She isn't trying to look 30, she isn't trying to erase time. Instead, she is embodying something more powerful, the idea that beauty doesn't expire. With her short blonde hair, flawless skin, and unmistakable charisma, Stone looks like herself. The same woman who stunned the world in 1992, but wiser, stronger, and more grounded. Social media exploded with admiration. Fans celebrated her for proving that aging can be glamorous, that women do not fade simply because the calendar advances. Fashion magazines dissected her outfits. Commentators praised her confidence. And through it all, Sharon Stone smiled, fully aware of the statement she was making without even speaking. In a culture obsessed with youth, her presence at 67 is nothing less than radical. Sharon Stone's latest appearance isn't just about beauty, it's about resilience. It's about a woman who has lived through fame, scandal, heartbreak, illness, and reinvention, and who now stands at 67 as luminous as ever. But the story doesn't end here, because beyond the photos breaking the internet lies the deeper truth. Sharon Stone's beauty is only part of her power. Her real legacy is the way she has reshaped conversations about women, aging, and survival in Hollywood. When photographs of Sharon Stone surfaced on her 67th birthday, the global reaction said more about culture than it did about one actress. Yes, the images were breathtaking. Stone looked radiant, elegant, and brimming with confidence. But what truly made them viral was the fact that society still struggles with how to process women over a certain age. Hollywood has long pushed the message that a woman's value is tied to youth. Yet here was Sharon Stone, not defying her age but embodying it, showing that 67 could look glamorous, powerful, and unapologetically alive. Her stunning new look wasn't just about clothes, makeup, or lighting. It was about the journey that got her here. Decades of triumph, heartbreak, resilience, and reinvention. To fully grasp the impact of Sharon Stone at 67, one must look not only at her films, but also at the cultural battles she has fought and won. A Hollywood outlier, Sharon Stone has always been an outlier. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, when her career exploded, Hollywood was still largely defined by rigid archetypes. Men could age into gravitas. Clint Eastwood, Sean Connery, Jack Nicholson. Women, however, were expected to embody eternal youth. Once actresses crossed 40, their opportunities shrank. Stone was determined to break that mold. After Basic Instinct, she could have easily leaned into endless femme fatale roles, but she sought substance. Casino proved her range, and even films that underperformed commercially often highlighted her refusal to be boxed in. She chose projects that interested her rather than those that simply reinforced her image. Her independence cost her. Hollywood has never been kind to women who refuse to play by its rules. Roles became scarce, particularly after her health crisis in 2001. But what Stone lost in studio backing, she gained in autonomy. She no longer chased the industry's approval. Instead, she redefined success on her own terms. Surviving the brain hemorrhage. The aneurysm that nearly killed Sharon Stone in 2001 was more than a medical emergency. It was a turning point in her life. Few outside her inner circle grasped just how severe it was. She later revealed that she had a 1% chance of survival. For days, she drifted in and out of consciousness, her brain swelling, her body failing. When she finally pulled through, the recovery was agonizing. She had to relearn basic functions, speech, balance, even reading. For a woman whose life depended on precision, memorization, and performance, it was like being stripped to zero. The hemorrhage also reshaped her outlook. Hollywood largely abandoned her during her recovery, assuming she was finished. Directors stopped calling, agents moved on, and casting directors forgot her. It was a brutal reminder of how quickly fame fades when physical vulnerability enters the picture. But Stone refused to disappear. She fought her way back, slowly and painfully. She regained her health, rebuilt her confidence, and re-emerged not as the same actress, but as a woman reborn. She has often said the experience gave her a deeper empathy, a stronger sense of gratitude, and a fiercer commitment to authenticity. Her beauty at 67 is not the beauty of denial, it is the beauty of survival. Sharon Stone as advocate and activist. After her health crisis, Stone dedicated herself not only to acting, but also to advocacy. Few celebrities have been as outspoken or as fearless in tackling controversial issues. She became a leading voice in HIV/AIDS activism, raising millions for research and support organizations. She used her fame to shine a spotlight on an epidemic that, at the time, was still steeped in stigma. She spoke at rallies, hosted fundraisers, and even confronted politicians publicly about their failures to act. She also became a champion of women's rights in Hollywood. Long before the Me Too movement exploded, Stone was telling stories about harassment, discrimination, and power imbalances in the industry. She recounted moments where producers tried to exploit her, where directors underestimated her, and where executives punished her for saying no. Her speeches were searing. At one event, she famously silenced a room by describing what it was like to wake up from brain surgery and realize that her career had evaporated overnight. Not because she lacked talent, but because she was a woman over 40 with a scar. She challenged the industry to look at itself, to confront its cruelty, and to change. In doing so, she became not just a Hollywood figure, but a cultural warrior. Sharon Stone was no longer just Catherine Trammell or Ginger McKenna. She was Sharon Stone, survivor, advocate, and icon, reinventing beauty. What makes Sharon Stone's new look at 67 so powerful is that it is not about pretending to be younger. She hasn't attempted to erase the years from her face. She embraces them. The fine lines are there, the marks of time visible, and yet the radiance shines through. Fashion critics often talk about aging gracefully, but Stone has gone further. She hasn't just aged gracefully, she has aged defiantly. She has refused to conform to the idea that beauty has an expiration date. She wears bold colors, daring cuts, and styles that celebrate her body rather than conceal it. She laughs loudly, speaks bluntly, and refuses to shrink. When photos of her surfaced recently, lounging by her pool in a gold bikini, smiling with effortless confidence, social media erupted. "This is what 67 looks like," fans declared. Others called her proof that age is just a number. The images were shared millions of times, appearing on Instagram feeds, Twitter threads, and magazine covers. In an era where filters and Photoshop dominate, Stone's authenticity became even more striking. She wasn't hiding. She was showing up exactly as she was, and looking extraordinary. Changing the conversation about aging. The reason Sharon Stone's look has broken the internet is because it forces a cultural reckoning. For decades, aging women in Hollywood were invisible. Actresses were told their careers were over at 40. Cosmetic industries profited by convincing women that wrinkles were flaws. But in recent years, the conversation has begun to shift, thanks to women like Stone. Actresses such as Helen Mirren, Meryl Streep, and Jane Fonda have proven that age and brilliance are not mutually exclusive. Sharon Stone adds another dimension. She embodies sensuality at 67. She refuses to relinquish glamour. She insists that desire, allure, and vitality do not belong exclusively to the young. By simply existing as herself, Stone challenges the system. Every viral photograph, every red carpet appearance, every headline about her beauty at 67 chips away at outdated standards. Reflections on motherhood and family beyond Hollywood and activism. Sharon Stone's life has also been defined by motherhood. She is the mother of 3 sons, Roan, Laird, and Quinn, whom she adopted after struggling with infertility and multiple miscarriages. Her journey into motherhood was not easy. During her health crisis, she lost custody of her eldest son, Roan, in a painful legal battle. The courts, influenced by Hollywood gossip and Stone's image as a dangerous femme fatale, questioned her stability. The loss devastated her, yet Stone persisted. She rebuilt her family, adopting Laird and Quinn, and raising her sons with a fierce sense of independence. She has spoken often about how motherhood reshaped her priorities, grounding her and giving her life a deeper purpose. At 67, her sons are her greatest pride. When asked about her beauty, she often redirects the conversation to them, saying that her real legacy is not how she looks, but who she has raised. The wisdom of Sharon Stone. In recent years, Sharon Stone has reached a point in her life where interviews feel less like performances and more like confessions of hard-earned wisdom. She no longer measures her words against the expectations of an industry that once demanded silence, compliance, and a constant chase for approval. Instead, she speaks with the clarity of someone who has weathered the storms, survived the unthinkable, and emerged with nothing left to prove. For Stone, authenticity is the ultimate power, and that authenticity has redefined her public image more profoundly than any role she has ever played. She has described herself as dangerous, a word that might seem surprising until you hear her reasoning. It is not her looks that make her dangerous, though they continue to turn heads even at 67. It is her honesty, unfiltered, sharp, and unwilling to bow to false modesty, that unsettles those who expect women, especially women in Hollywood, to diminish themselves with age. While many celebrities cushion their interviews with careful diplomacy, Stone is direct. She laughs at questions designed to box her into categories of youth, beauty, or decline, and instead reframes the narrative entirely. When asked how she continues to radiate beauty, Stone refuses to indulge the myth of miracle serums or punishing diets. She does not sell the fantasy of eternal youth. Instead, she speaks of laughter, gratitude, and survival as her true secrets. "I've been through things that should have killed me," she once said, a simple sentence that carries the weight of her health crises, personal losses, and the betrayals of an industry quick to discard her. The fact that I'm still here, still smiling, that's beauty. It is a definition that cannot be bottled or sold, a kind of beauty that comes not from fighting age, but from embracing life. Her perspective resonates deeply with women around the world who see themselves reflected in her journey. For them, Sharon Stone is not merely a glamorous actress from the 1990s, but a living example that aging is not an ending. It is, as she insists, an ascent, a chance to shed illusions about perfection, to claim a power once denied, and to step into freedom unburdened by fear. In Stone's words and in her presence, aging becomes not something to dread, but something to celebrate. The ultimate declaration of survival, resilience, and truth. Sharon Stone's legacy. So what is Sharon Stone's legacy at 67? It is not just Basic Instinct or Casino. It is not just the Golden Globe on her shelf or the iconic roles that made her famous. Her true legacy is the way she has lived. Fearlessly, unapologetically, definitely. She has proven that beauty is not confined to youth, that strength is born from survival, and that aging can be not just dignified, but dazzling. Her latest look may have broken the internet, but the reason it resonated so deeply is because it represents something bigger, the possibility of rewriting the rules. For every woman told she is too old, for every actress pushed aside, for every person who has felt invisible as the years passed, Sharon Stone stands as proof that visibility can be reclaimed, beauty can be redefined, and life at 67 can be just as powerful as it was at 37. The internet may obsess over Sharon Stone's physical appearance, but the real story is the woman behind it. The survivor of poverty, the small-town girl who became a global star, the actress who conquered Hollywood, the mother who rebuilt her family, the advocate who fought for justice, and the human being who survived near death to live again. At 67, Sharon Stone is not just stunning, she is unstoppable. And so, as Sharon Stone's 67th birthday lights up headlines and social media feeds, one thing is certain: she has once again reshaped how we think about beauty, age, and power. But what do you think? Does Sharon Stone's new look at 67 represent a cultural turning point, or is society still too focused on appearances? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories about legends who defy time, hit that subscribe button. You're watching Icon Legends, where icons live forever.